What is up, guys? This is your host Yasin Nizami, and today we are going to talk about Customer Success Manager, also known as CSM. What is CSM? What are the day-to-day activities, and how you as an engineer can grow your career to be a CSM in an IT world. Now, before we dive into it, if you are new to my channel, I personally welcome you. Thanks for tuning in, and if you did not hit the subscribe button yet, please do it now so that you don't miss any future videos just like this one that I will be publishing on a regular basis. Alright, so before we understand the CSM concept, we need to understand the history behind it, how this role came into being, because if you go back 10 years ago, this role didn't exist. So this role is born out of software as a service model. So back in the days, when the IT companies used to sell applications or software to the businesses, it was sold on a perpetual licenses basis. For example, if you take an example of Microsoft Office, back in the day, if you are a business owner, if you want to purchase Microsoft Office for hundreds of your employees, you're going to pay per employee based license cost in order to acquire the license to operate that service or application in your business. Now, let's say if it costs $500 per user, then it's a lot of money, right? And you pay and you acquire the license, but when you purchase it, then you own the license in its entirety, right? And then you pay something extra in order to get support, which is oftentimes it used to be optional. Now, that model has evolved, and it has various reasons behind it. So that model evolved to become a software as a service model, where when these cloud companies came into the market, like Amazon AWS services, Google, SAP, Salesforce, and then Microsoft, they came out with that model, which is purely SaaS service, which means you will basically pay for service that you use based upon the term. So they call it software as a SaaS service. So basically the entire economic model move from one-time perpetual payment to monthly or annual recurring payment. The number one reason for this change is the market appreciation. So if you compare the stock price of a company which is purely SaaS based, the stock price is very healthy, and it's in the upward trajectory, because the reason is the analyst and the business owners, they can project the revenue, because the revenue is based upon the monthly or annual recurring payments, and oftentimes you lock the customer into the minimum term, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, so you can easily project the revenue over the period of 3 to 5 years, and that is very attractive in terms of attracting investors to put money into the stock, versus a one-time payment charge, where you get the revenue as a one-time payment within that financial year, but you cannot predict how much revenue we can expect over the period of 3 or 5 years. So that's the fundamental reason, and you can compare these companies based upon their stock prices, and you will easily understand why this is happening. Now, from users perspective, so the businesses are now moving from paying one-time perpetual license to the annual or monthly recurring cost. There are some disadvantages and advantages to it. So advantage is you don't have to allocate heavy capital upfront in order to acquire a service or application for your use, but instead you will spread your cost, and then you will be paying annual or monthly basis in order to use the business application, and then you can renew afterwards if you want to use it, right? So it becomes a utility-based model where you can pay for your use only. Now, the disadvantage is if you compare the costing model, because when this whole IT model was changed, the companies and businesses who were purchasing these services, they were forced to change their economic model as well, because they were tuned to kind of allocate budgets at the beginning of the financial year, and now they had to move the entire model to kind of allocate funds as an OPEX before because they can continue paying for their operational expenses rather than allocating budget at the beginning of the year. So back to CSM topic. So why CSM is needed, or customer success manager is needed in this model? Well, in a perpetual model, when the IT company or IT vendor sell a product, sell a service, they sell and they acquire they get the one-time payment, and then their job is done, so they can move on and then sell this service to other customers. In a SaaS model, because it's recurring, a subscription model, you need to make sure as a business owner that you need to keep your customer engaged or attached to your service, because it takes 7 to 9 times more effort and cost in order to sell a product to a new customer than to a existing customer. So acquiring a new customer is very expensive than keeping and farming your existing customers. So it's very important concept to understand for young engineers that the existing customers are gold. You cannot lose them in a subscription model, because it takes a lot of money, time, and effort to acquire new customers. So and the entire customer lifetime value is much more if they stay with you for a longer period, because when you sell one product to a customer or one service to a customer, they don't only end there, they will continue buying from you as long as you are providing good quality, good customer support, good service in terms of engaging them and growing their business with them. That will keep the customer engaged with you, and that will increase the customer lifetime value. And this is where the money is for businesses, and this is where they can capitalize in terms of getting more revenue from that customer base. All right, so the 3 main roles and responsibilities of a CSM are: number 1, retention or reducing churn; number 2 is adoption, and training also falls into that category; and number 3 is expand or increase or grow the customer base. Let's talk about the retention first. Retention means it's the most important thing for an IT vendor or IT company is to make sure that the customers are retained with them. They're not going towards a competitor at the end of the subscription term. So that's one of the main responsibility of a CSM, is to make sure that customers are engaged with the product and services and with them, and they don't look for other options or competitive offers in the market. Number 2 is adoption. So adoption means how much features and functionalities are being used by the customer, because a product can have hundreds of features, but not all of them are being utilized or used in a customer use case. So it's your responsibility to make sure that you train them and you tell them what those features do in terms of solving customer issues and problems. The more customers learn about your product and the features and capabilities, and they can map to their business use cases, it's highly likely that they will engage with the product, and the product will be adopted to a higher degree. So number 3 is renewal. So when the subscription is about to expire, let's say if it's a 3-year subscription, then if the customer is not getting the value from the product in compared to what they're paying, they will certainly shop around and look for other options in the market. It's your job as a CSM to make sure that it doesn't happen. So as long as you focus on the retention part, as long as you can focus on the adoption part, the third part will become much easier for you. So you will provide enough value for them to stay engaged with you, and they will be happy to renew the service at the end of the term. Okay, so if I am the manager and I'm looking for a CSM to be part of my team, what skills I will be looking for? So number 1 is communication. That person needs to be an excellent communicator. And when I say communication, it doesn't mean that keep talking. It means more listening and understanding the customer problems and issues and business use cases before you speak. So that's number 1 skill that I will be looking for. Number 2 skill is the person has to be a subject matter expert on the product. So whatever product you are selling or whatever service you are selling, you have to be an expert in terms of that product as well as the service or industry you are in. For example, if you are selling an ERP solution or a CRM solution, you got to be expert on that CRM product and know at least majority of the basic features and functionalities, because you are going there as an expert and training the customer. So you got to be trained first, right? So you have to be an SME on that product. Number three is you need to understand the business of a customer. So a customer could be a HR company, they could be a plumbing company, they could be a manufacturing organization. You need to understand their business also, not only your own business, because if you know that the company is growing and their intention is to expand into further markets, that's a different mindset versus a company who is just keeping their operational metrics, intact, so that they can be acquired at some stage. That's a completely different mindset. So you need to understand what are the company's goals, and then that way you can educate them and guide them appropriately as per their use cases. You have to be a trainer or educator approach. So because when you come as an expert, one of the main responsibility as a CSM is to train the customer about your product. So you have to come up with the training mindset or educator mindset. And number five is you have to be an influencer. So even though you're not part of sales team, but you will have a back channel into your account team or sales team where you can provide a lot of feedback about customer issues, bugs, escalations. You will be the point of contact between the customer and the sales team in terms of how you can provide internal feedback. And then you can also influence the customer in terms of how the product is being evolved, what feature are being added as part of the roadmap. So the influence part is also very important as a responsibility of a CSM. You have to be a problem solver. Oftentimes there are some issues, bugs, and then there will be escalations all the way to the CEO level. You will be the person sitting in the account, will be the first point of contact for that kind of escalation. So when it happens, you have the ability to resolve the issues and have conflict resolution kind of a skill set so that you can keep the harmony between the customer and the account teams and your support organization. So if these things resonate with you, and if you think you can get these skills polished as part of your engineering career, then CSM is a rewarding career for you, because CSM is becoming more and more attractive going forward, because oftentimes CSM is also part of a sales team, and they can also taking on more as an account management or account representative role within the account. So that role is keep growing. And especially in the utility model, in the SaaS model, you will see a lot of evolution in terms of how the customer success management is growing and becoming a crucial part of the business. So if you think this is exciting for you, you think you would like to be part of the CSM team, and you love in front of the customers, solving their business problems, show your expertise about your business, your product knowledge, your technical knowledge, then look for these jobs, because these jobs will be very rewarding for you if you love them, if you love to work with customers and solve their business problems. That's it for me, guys. I hope you like it. If you do, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because if you don't do it, you will miss a lot of videos like these ones, which I will be keep publishing fairly quickly on regular basis. So until my next video, take care. Bye now.